Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Slow Burn Pro Wrestling Podcast, where all professional wrestling storylines live. As always, I am your host, Matt Brandon, bringing you all professional wrestling's news, notes, innuendos, and whatever else you can come up with in this wonderful world of professional wrestling. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm just going to tell you, I'm still up here, all right? I am still very, very much up here. Dynamite, Grand Slam, AEW, whatever the hell you want to call it last night, live from Arena Mexico in the heart of Mexico City, one of the most historic arenas in the whole entire universe. Wow. I mean, it was good. And here again, I've said this 1,000 times. I know a lot of people that watch this show, out of the 9 of you, aren't really AEW fans. I get all that. You're missing out on a hell of a product right now, because last night what I saw out of AEW was pure history. It was gold. It was entertaining to no end. And on top of that, we progressed storylines, and I was really worried that that this would be a little anti-storyline, more about just here's a big mess of people. Let's see what everybody does. Um, I loved it. I loved it from beginning to end. Anyway, I'm glad. We're going to get into all of it. But happy Thursday. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Rey Mysterio Day, right? And again, no political stuff. I've saw online today, especially in the social media sites, not that wrestling tribalists have really gotten political today. We're not doing that, all right? I'm a history teacher, so we kind of know why I say happy Juneteenth, all right? So sorry if it offends anybody. It just is what it is, okay? But it's also Rey Mysterio Day today, 619. So great for everybody. Welcome. Let's talk about some wrestling, all right? Last night, so special, okay? I've talked about the history already. I said how historical of a night that was. Just to let you know, if you don't understand, Arena Mexico in Mexico City is thought of as being one of the best wrestling venues, just like ever. Not just like now, but in throughout all of wrestling history. As a St. Louisan, I mean, you think about the Chase. Everybody knows wrestling at the Chase, so we have that type of nostalgia here. Although it doesn't happen anymore, we still have that history of that. So you know what I'm talking about. Today's modern venues you have to talk about definitely up in Calgary at the Stampede. That's one of those huge ones in Canada. Here in America, obviously you say Madison Square Garden. You have to. So many of those old arenas like the Omni in Atlanta, they don't exist anymore. So the Madison Square Garden is one of the oldest and the best. So that's up there. Tokyo Dome in Japan. But like, there you go. The Calgary Stampede, Madison Square Garden, the Tokyo Dome, Arena Mexico. Like, that's it. Like, when you talk about all of these wonderful historical venues, it's up there high. I mean, hell, when you think wrestling, people even look at Lucha Libre as a separate thing. It's seen as its own entity. It's that special. It's that historical. Hell, in Mexico, the luchadors still don't. People don't know who they are. There is still kayfabe out there. People, it exists, and it makes me so happy to think about it. But to be there, like, first American company to ever run an event there. Yes, American wrestlers have wrestled there before. We know that. Hell, New Japan wrestlers have wrestled there. There's been a partnership with CMLL and big organizations for quite some time, but an American company had never ran a show at Arena Mexico. And last night, Tony Khan and AEW gets it done. And again, I don't do the whole fight and comparison between WWE and AEW. I don't. I love all of it. Sometimes I love one more than the other. I get that, but hell, that's just like any other type of program we watch. Some shows are better than others, right? Not every Chicago PD is as good as every Chicago Fire. We understand that, but I don't know if that was a good example or not. That probably should be flip-flopped. Regardless, all right, no makeups. So, I don't know. I just thought it was a special night. We're not comparing the two. We do know WWE has gotten involved with the Mexican organization as well in AAA. We just had Worlds Collide 2 weeks ago. So that market is there. We have these organizations scrambling for this Mexican market. Although there's not a comparison in the two. They're both wonderful in their own way. So let's get to this AEW show. First off, the crowd. absolutely phenomenal. You gotta love it when you have knowledgeable wrestling fans, and even if you don't know the language as far as the Spanish, then you're it doesn't matter. You get what wrestling fans do, and that actually brings me uh, to the opener with Hangman Page. All right, first off, I just want to explain something before I get into the nuts and bolts of this thing. I'll probably get hung up on a few little topics here, so we may have to cut. You guys know how I do it. What the hell? Um, but I want to say with Hangman Page was the beginning, which I started loving, and this lasted all the way to the end. This from top to bottom, this show had me. I thought it was great. I scored it an A minus, by the way. It's been a while since we got into those A's for AEW, and we got it right now. So really, really well done as far as the show. Now, Hangman Page. We open up with Hangman Page. You know, you hear the music hit, you see the horse's hooves, and out walks Hangman. Typical Hangman fashion. I was not prepared, and I knew Hangman spoke Spanish because he's a multilingual person. I believe he speaks Japanese as well, from what I understand. Sometimes his grasp of English isn't always the best, but no. I keyed. But talking about, he comes out with the Spanish promo, and I freaking loved it. And I've read online this is getting kind of a bad rap here in America because people couldn't understand it, and he went fast. Excalibur tried to do the translation, but Hangman went so fast it was hard to do the translations. You know what? I don't give a damn. I don't. I thought it was amazing. If you didn't like it because of the language, you and I watch wrestling completely different. All right. Our great friend Bully Ray, Uncle Bully, on Busted Open, second greatest podcast show of wrestling that exists. Bully Ray always says, if you really want to know, as a wrestler, if you want to know how you're doing, close your eyes and just listen to the crowd. Um, you can do that a lot while watching wrestling. You close your eyes, you listen to the crowd, you hear what the pop is. Last night with that opener, I enjoyed the heck out, and I know just enough Spanish to be dangerous. Like I can pick up on a few things here and there. And I'm not at all fluent, so let's not even get even close. But I know enough to be dangerous. He was talking fast, I couldn't really get it. Plus, the American accent was kind of screwing me up a little too. Um, but I heard the pops. I heard the crowd. I heard it, like when he said Moxley and the boo pops in. You know, that crowd took you on that whole promo as far as a journey. And all you needed to do was listen to the crowd to get across what Hangman was trying to do. And I thought that was a mastercraft in how to do this show. Number one, you're appealing to the live audience, all right? Now, the live audience is always what wrestling is about. It's, to me, it's so much differently. Anybody that says they'd rather watch wrestling at home has never been to a great live wrestling event. That's all I can say. The feeling of the emotion of the crowd, right? And I thought doing that Spanish promo to start things off from Hanger, I thought like you got the crowd in the palm of your hand just like that. He didn't have to do that. Tony Khan didn't have to start that show that way, but he did, and he did it for those Mexican fans, and I thought it was awesome. Um, for us at home, yeah, if you didn't know what he was saying, okay, I'm sorry. If it offended you in any way, you got English for the rest of the damn show, all right? But for me, sitting back, reactions from the crowd, I thought it was freaking spot on, all right? It could not have been better. The approach to it was so fun. I thought it was great. And you know what else it did? Without even knowing every word that was said, it got me excited for All In for Moxley versus Hangman. It just furthered this story, and I think that needed to happen. And I was a little worried that we wouldn't have those story progressions here because of it being the just the show of shows inside of Arena Mexico. Well, we got all of it and more, and Hangman did a great job at starting this off. So, really, really well done. Now, here again, before we get into the wrestling, there were multiple, like numerous person matches. Like I think this first one's a 14-man tag. I didn't, and I'm not even going to go into detail on everybody that was involved in these matches, um, but I understood it, and I said that the other day on the show. Even though I know it's like throwing all these people together and it's a match without story, blah blah blah, there were individual stories in these matches, and if you knew and you've been watching the program, you kind of picked that up, but as I can say with the history of all of this, how can I get excited about it and say how awesome it is and sit here and think, well, not as many people should have been involved, because there were a lot of talent that was there last night that had never been to Arena Mexico. So the more talent that you could get on the card, the better. So this is one of those times where I'm going to say, okay, I get it. It worked. It really did. And again, the matches were so damn good, it didn't matter. And we started off with one of these big ass matches. We had the Don Callis family, Josh Alexander, Takeshita, Lance Archer, all the Callis family. All right. And tagging up with Dax Harwood and Volador Jr. Now, Cash Wheeler, it was announced before the match that he couldn't make the trip. I wondered if that had something to do with the legal troubles, but I thought his legal troubles were completely past him, but it still may have had an issue with passports. But regardless, we had them versus Atlantis Jr., Bandito, Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia, Templario, who I freaking, Templar is badass. I love that dude. And Brody King. And I thought the whole thing, first off, I'm not going to do the political stuff on Brody King. This is a no politics zone. All right. But I will say that as far as the wrestling side of things, Brody King was a monster in there. All right. I don't give a damn you like him, you hate him. We can all talk about that. Yeah, whether he's good or not. I don't like Bobby Lashley, but if he does well, I'm going to give him credit. Brody King played the role of a monster in this match, and it was fantastic. So that's why I want to draw attention to him. I thought this match was a lot of fun, but it was a lot. So that's what you had to recognize. And they did a good job at only keeping a small number involved in the match at a time. They had so much stuff going on the outside of the match. So I kind of thought like the tempo of the match worked having that many people. I will say this. I was not prepared for Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. to have so much heat on them. Wow. They were hated, man. They were getting booed like freaking Dirty Dom gets booed. Like, that was a really big surprise to me. I wasn't ready for that heat. I thought Atlantis is going into this match like the biggest legend that you'll ever see. Like, I thought the only guy that would get a bigger pop than Atlantis that night was Mystico, or if Rey Mysterio shows up out of nowhere. Like, that to me, I was stunned. But man, I enjoyed it because the crowd was very consistent with it, and the crowd told that story. And credit to Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. Like, whew, man, well done, baby faces. At the same time, Hinchicero, now part of the Callis family. By the way, I love when he does that stuff with it. He's like a Dragon Ball, and he's getting ready to freaking Kamehameha. Yeah, I know a little bit. I know a little. So, but Hinchicero was getting pops the whole time. He's there with the freaking heels, and every time Hinchicero's in the ring, especially solo, they were loving him. They were all about it. So that whole thing worked, man. That whole match, to me, the way they did it, the way the crowd appealed to it, like I said, it was a lot, but it was also a lot of fun. So hard to have issue with that. All right. The one other thing I wanted to say is Adam Cole looked good. Thought Adam Cole looked good. We're going to get Adam Cole, Kyle Fletcher. I assume we'll get that heading in towards All In, and I think it's going to be great, man. Sometimes you forget how big Kyle Fletcher is, and at the same time, sometimes you forget how opposite of that. I'm not gonna say little. How opposite of that Adam Cole is. So that matchup, we could have a David versus Goliath thing headed into All In. So we'll see. And how long can you keep gold off of Kyle Fletcher? I don't know. So we shall see. We had Okada versus Mark Briscoe. This match was a little bit wonky for me at the beginning, but I'm glad they showed the video package again of Briscoe saying why he was challenging Okada. He was taking up for Kenny Omega. He didn't like what happened to Omega. He's been with Omega so many times together and against, and he just has so much respect for him. So he wanted to battle for Kenny Omega, and they did. Now, I will say, you guys know, as far as technical wrestling, Okada is as good as anyone that there's been. I mean, he is that special. This wasn't a technical masterpiece, and Briscoe can do those type of matches, so no discount to him. But this was more of a brutal beating, I thought. Now, there was some technicality in it, but for the most part, I thought this was more of a rough side of Okada, which I thought was perfect for the storyline with him and Kenny Omega. Because now you're putting that roughness, that edge on Okada. So that takes that heel work that he's doing to the next level. All right. And on top of that, you just had him injuring Omega. So you've got the underdog role of the babyface going even further to Kenny Omega. Once this match happens at All In, my God, it is going to, the roof is going to be blown off of this place if the roof is closed. I will tell you that. And I don't care if there's 500 people there or 500,000 people there. They are doing it with this story. And I want to say this, all right? Don Callis is amazing. Okay, Don Callis is so good. He is the ultimate heel. As far as a heel manager right now, there's no one in the business doing it as good as Don Callis. Period. Not a lot of managers in today's game. We get that. More faction heads than it is managers. But Don Callis is doing it as good. Not just managers, but heels in general. I don't know if there's anyone right now that's more hated than Don Callis. Wow. And to his credit, he's nailing it. He's doing it on commentary. His little back and forth with Tony Schiavone was fantastic. Thank you, Don Callis, for making Tony Schiavone sound decent. Yeah, I thought the whole thing, this whole match worked, even though it was a different style of Okada match. The one thing I will say on the negative side, I felt bad for the fans in Mexico that they didn't get Kenny Omega, especially when they started chanting for Kenny Omega. They're chanting for him, and they're still not getting it. I just, that kind of sucks. So I understand for the storyline, he's hurt. He's probably going to be out for a spell, I would assume. So for the storyline, I get it, but I don't know, for the nostalgia of it, man, if you're a Japanese crowd, you would have freaking loved if Kenny Omega would have popped out of that curtain. I mean, that would have been pretty awesome. So even if they don't touch, just to see the interaction would be pretty cool. We're going to get some more of that down the road, all right? We had the Mystico versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman MJF. Mystico goes over by disqualification. This match was so freaking amazing. Top to bottom, the match hit. I love the fact that MJF was playing the evil foreign heel as an American. You don't get that often. He did it over in England, but it didn't quite play off as good as what it did now. Oh my God, like it was. I loved it. And MJF is such a good heel. I will say this, if there's any doubt left that the Hurt Syndicate are heels, you now know because you've seen what happens with them, allowing the cheating, being part of the cheating, the beatdown at the end. Hell, they were part of it from on the negative side from beginning to end. And I don't mean that negative because Bobby Lashley was part of the match. So I thought that as the match progressed, the Hurt Syndicate didn't really have a lot of purpose until the beatdown afterwards. But then after that, that's when we get all that expansion and then all these run-ins and everything else. I thought that after the run-ins, the Hurt Syndicate looked a little more human. They didn't quite tear through everybody as easy as normal. They were outnumbered. I got it. But still, that was a good push for the baby faces. I thought it was great. I cannot wait to see Jet Speed take the belts off of these guys. It's happening. It's happening. All right. Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey are taking the belts off of Hurt Syndicate. You heard it here first. You might have heard it here 13 times. I don't know. But you've definitely heard it here. Let's just say that. And we'll see what happens with it. I'm excited. I think that that's a team that is ripe for the picking. And that's the perfect team to pick them, if you know what I'm saying. So, and you might not. You might not, but I thought this match was good. The one thing I want to say is, again, we had another. They took Mystico's mask off. He stayed covered, and we had the Luchadors come out. Who came out to help him? I thought I wrote this down. Let me see here. No, I didn't even write it down. We had a lot of people run out. Bandito, I thought, got some of the loudest pops. I know he was part of that Savior squad. I think Templario came out, maybe Mascara Dorada as well. But regardless, I thought that we didn't see Mystico's face, which made it okay. MJF now is doing this. I thought we were getting Jericho doing this a few months ago. Now MJF's taking it over, but he's just going to take luchador mask after luchador mask. Now, I hope they continue with this. Like, that's what needs to happen. Don't kill it now that the show is over in Arena Mexico. Let's put MJF up against Bandito next week, and we see this happen. or let's put him up. We already know the Commander stuff happened. Let's throw him in there with Commander and see what happens. Hologram. Let's see what happens. Now you can progress that, all turning back to where we get to see MJF versus Mystico again. All right. That's my point, because this match was so good. I need to see it again, please. And let's see a clean victory. One or the other, MJF or Mystico. Before we move on, I want to say one thing too. How about that entrance for Mystico? That entrance was so. I don't know the name of the song, but I didn't. I thought I wrote the name of the song. My notes suck today, but regardless, that the way the audience, that was a different type of entrance music. We had the Hispanic music playing, the crowd singing along. Awesome. And you can tell Mystico, he is such a star there. He's Cody, right? When it comes to CMLL, I think Mystico is Cody. Although Mascara Dorada also very, very huge pops. So I will say this though, I don't know if anybody as far as the luchadors got the pops. Well, Mystico, but Bandito. So very, very good. Now, we had a match, and I thought it was going to be real. Well, let's just call it what it is. I thought it was going to be stupid. It was a $4 million, a 4 million pesos match. Winner of this fatal four way gets 4 million pesos, and we got Ricochet, who, by the way, I got a new Ricochet shirt. I'm not a huge Ricochet fan, but I've loved his heel work, so I got a Ricochet shirt. I'll be showing that off soon. I love it. But we had Ricochet versus Hologram versus Mascara Dorada. And who else was that? Leo Rush. Leo Rush. And, it was a pretty good Leo Rush sighting as well. Lots of stuff happened here. The match was it was a luchador freaking expedition is what it is. Exhibition. It lucha at its highest. And I loved it. I actually am very surprised that Hologram goes over. I thought Ricochet would go over here. The guy can't seem to win a money match to save his life. But Hologram goes over. They keep that undefeated streak going with Hologram. Kind of makes me think that maybe the Hologram step up in competition to an MJF would make more sense. Maybe MJF snatches that mask. Just saying. The match was fantastic. The match was fantastic. Beginning to end, I enjoyed it. I feel like I'm rushing through it, but probably because I didn't feel like the match was going to be great going into it. Before it was over with, I was on the edge of my seat. So, and I haven't been totally sold on Hologram from beginning to end. The presentation's cool and everything, but that was probably my favorite Hologram match. I will say that. So, well done. Ricochet led that match, by the way. If you watch it and you understand what's going on with that, especially the way the luchadors played off of each other, a lot of that was coming through Ricochet, and I thought just fantastic. Well done. We had the women's match for the CMLL Women's Heavyweight Championship. Zeuxis defending against our girl CEO Mercedes Moné. Hey, Mercedes adds herself another belt. Uh, this match, I'll be honest, I love Mercedes matches for the most part. This one didn't entertain me a lot. It was short, so I'm sure they were told they had to crunch for time. I don't know. It just they weren't the best of dance partners, and I heard that when they wrestled before, it was kind of wonky like that. It wasn't awful. It was just a match in the middle of a card, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. I loved After because it had Tony involved in it, showing up like Carmen Sandiego, and Mina's at the top of the thing, basically showing off for Mercedes. Mercedes turns around, she gets suplexed by Tony, and Tony does the thing. You guys got me? Let the games begin. And yeah, let's go. Tony versus Mercedes. We're getting it all in. The only thing that I'm scared of is that I think Mercedes is going to win this match. And you guys know I root for Tony against everyone. All right. I'm Tony versus the world at all times. One, because I love the character. Two, I've said this many, many times. She was so amazing to my son, and I will never forget that for as long as I live. So the woman is genuine, and she's wonderful, and she's the best thing going in wrestling. So I hope that they don't take the belt from her at all in. But the way Mercedes just keeps getting belt after belt after belt, you know, you almost see the writing on the wall. I hope I'm wrong. The other thing is CMLL is such a big organization and so popular in Mexico. I hope she can defend that belt there. for their fans' sake. I hope that, and she's traveling the world. She's working a lot. So, hopefully we can get that in. That brought us to the main event, guys. Death Riders, along with the Young Bucks, along with Beast Mordos, because Claudio couldn't make the trip, had some visa issues. So we got Beast, which, by the way, Mr. Mercedes Moné, congratulations, my friend. Also getting ready to be a lawyer. Hear him arguing for his case. Anyway, we had the Death Riders and the Bucks and the Beast. They go over Swerve, Will Ospreay, and the Ops. I would have lost my house on this one. I could have swore the baby faces would go over. They didn't. This was a great match. I mean, there's a lot going on, but again, they did it the way they should, where there was only specific moments that you have to latch on to. I thought it was really played well. I thought the crowd in this main event was so good, man. Really popping for the baby faces, really booing the heels. Just the way the match was supposed to be done. Now, if the crowd wasn't quite as good, that match might come off a little wonky. It might come off a little stretched, right? It wasn't. It was great. It was great throughout. Now, I will say this: a little disappointed last night on my feed, and I watched. I had recorded it and started it a little late to get through commercials, but on some of them early on. But then on my feed, when it goes to the next program, normally it's Modern Family, and I record Modern Family. Well, last night it was To Be Announced, and the To Be Announced thing didn't record, so we had to go back through, watch it again. I mean, it's easy to find. It just, why are you making my job harder, right? Why? Come on, make my viewing pleasure as easy as possible. It's the year 2025. So, um, again, the win was cheap, but the match was solid. If the heels were going to go over here, it had to be a cheap win, and we got the quick roll up. I hate the fact that Swerve took the pin. Like, that bothers me. I don't know why. It just, in that case, seeing Moxley pin Swerve, I don't know. It irritates me a little bit. However, I love the pops that we got for the good guys as far as Samoa Joe. All right, great, great. Joe. The Mexican crowd was all over Joe. Fantastic. I don't know if he's ever worked Arena Mexico before. Probably not. But maybe he has. But regardless, that had to be a treat for those guys getting to see the veteran like Samoa Joe. And Powerhouse Hobbs, man. His pops. Wow. Fantastic. And Hobbs looked like a dang monster in this match. He was unbeatable at times. So the match hit. Surprised in the outcome with the bad guys going over, but it happened. So the show was great. The show was it was good. So here's how I want to close this, guys. As we get ready to wrap, I want to go over the TNA Impact card tonight if we have time. But this is kind of what I've come with. In my AEW geniusness, that is me. We need more international shows. All right. I'm seeing more and more of this. It was such a hit. You know, they've been doing such good work right now. The smaller venues in America, the crowds in America have been so good with these smaller venues. And then, man, we go outside of the country to places like Arena Mexico. Hell, think about All In Wembley. I know we have Forbidden Door coming up at the O2 Arena in London. Like, more international shows is going to make this company continue to just thrive and grow. I know they don't do house shows. This is why you can really expand your volume by going other places. So hopefully this is something we see more of. That, and everybody knows I like international crowds. I think international crowds lately have been a hell of a lot better than American crowds. You know, I don't mean that. No way. I'm America through and through. But international wrestling crowds have been better. If you're paying attention, you agree with me. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry about your intelligence. That's all I know what to do. So anyway, guys, let's look at TNA real quick, and then we'll put a quick wrap. A minus, right? Golly, feels good. Had an A minus last week on Raw. Had an A minus this week on Dynamite. Wrestling is in a quality spot. So well done, AEW. Let's keep the week going. All right, TNA tonight. Let's see who we got. We got the Champions Challenge, where we're gonna see Trick. I'm reading my notes here. Trick, Moose, and the Nimiths, along with Steve Macklin, tagging up against Joe Hendry, Elijah, Leon Slater, and the Rascals. Basically, you're getting all of the challengers taking on all of the champions. It just sucks that Steve Macklin has to jump in that group. I guess Joe Hendry's going to go for Macklin, Elijah for Macklin. I don't know. Also, where's Mike Santana? Oh yeah, that's right, he's suspended. So we're going to have an Order 4 summit. I'm looking forward to that. We're leaning on the political side of Mustafa Ali and the Order 4. We're getting Eric Young versus Sami Callihan. That ought to get pretty nasty. Really looking forward to Eddie Edwards and JDC of the System taking on the complete Matt Cardona and a mystery partner. All right, please let it be Brian Myers. Please let it be Brian Myers. Please let it be Brian Myers. If I will it into fruition, I don't even care if everybody sees it coming. It's just what I want to happen. But we shall see. We shall see. We're going to get visited from Santino Marella, and then we're also going to get Masha and Lee versus Elegance. So huge night on TNA, Access TV, 7 o'clock Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night we'll have SmackDown. I will preview that as much as I can. I'll probably do a show tomorrow, but we'll go from there. So guys, thank you. Hope you enjoyed AEW this week. Hope you enjoyed the Slow Burn Pro Wrestling Podcast, where all professional wrestling storylines live. Guys, we appreciate everything you do. And remember, in this world, we're wrestling everything. Stay on top.